People say time heals everything. But time doesn't heal what you don't let go of. It only teaches you how to hide the wound better. My name is Ethan Cole, and this is the story of how I lost the woman I loved, not to a stranger, but to my own brother. And how, in losing her, I found myself again. I was 32 when I met Isabella Hart. She was everything I thought love looked like: elegant, intelligent, and stunning in that quiet, graceful way that drew attention without ever asking for it. We met at a charity gala in downtown Chicago. I was there because my father's company sponsored the event, and Isabella was one of the organizers. She wore a silver dress that night, and when she smiled at me across the ballroom, I forgot how to breathe. "Ethan Cole," I said, extending my hand. She took it softly, her voice warm and deliberate. "Isabella Hart. I've heard your name once or twice. You make it sound like a bad thing." "It depends who said it." We both laughed, the kind of easy laughter that feels like it's been there all along, waiting to be discovered. That night we danced. I told her about my love for architecture, about how I was trying to step out of my father's shadow and build my own firm. She listened with genuine curiosity, nodding in all the right places. She told me she worked in event management, but I could tell she came from money. Her posture, her poise, her quiet confidence, it wasn't something you learn, it's something you inherit. Still, she didn't act entitled. And that was what drew me in most. Over the next few months, we became inseparable. Coffee dates turned into weekend getaways. I'd find little notes in my car: "Don't forget to smile today." She made me feel seen in ways no one ever had. 6 months later, I proposed. We were married in a small church overlooking Lake Michigan, with sunlight spilling through stained glass and her hand trembling in mine. I thought it was perfect. I thought she was perfect. And for a while she was. My younger brother, Liam, came back from London a few months after the wedding. He'd always been the wild one, carefree, impulsive, charming. If I was order, he was chaos. If I built empires, he burned maps. Liam was 3 years younger than me, and everything I wasn't: artistic, funny, spontaneous. He'd gone abroad to study music production, and when he came home, he carried the kind of energy that lit up every room he entered. When I introduced him to Isabella, she smiled politely, but I noticed the flicker in her eyes, that spark of interest people try to hide when they know they shouldn't feel it. Still, I didn't think much of it. She was my wife. He was my brother. What could go wrong? We started inviting Liam over for dinners. The three of us would sit by the fireplace, sharing stories about childhood, work, and travel. Liam had this way of making Isabella laugh. A loud, carefree laugh I hadn't heard in months. At first, I loved seeing her happy. But soon, I realized that she wasn't laughing with me anymore. It started small. A missed goodnight kiss. A text left on read. A sudden interest in working late. One evening, I came home early. The house was dimly lit, the faint smell of coffee in the air. Isabella was sitting on the sofa, phone in hand, smiling at something. When she noticed me, she quickly locked the screen. "Hey," I said softly. "Who were you talking to?" She hesitated. "Just a friend." Something in the way she said friend made my stomach twist. But I nodded, pretending not to care. Over the next few weeks, she became quieter. Her warmth, that spark that used to make me feel like I was the center of her world, dimmed into politeness. She still said, I love you, but it felt like routine, like brushing your teeth or saying, good morning. I tried to fix things. Plan surprise dinners, weekend getaways, even therapy. But you can't fix something when the other person doesn't want it fixed. It was a Friday night in late autumn. I had finished a client meeting earlier than expected and decided to surprise Isabella with her favorite Thai takeout. When I got home, her car was in the driveway, but the lights were dim. I walked in quietly, smiling to myself, imagining her curled up on the couch watching Netflix. Instead, I heard laughter. Hers, soft, breathless, the kind she used to have with me. Then a man's voice. My heart stopped. I moved closer, my hands trembling as I peeked through the half-open door to my study. There she was, Isabella, sitting across from Liam, wine glasses on the table, her hand brushing his. He was telling her a story, something funny, and she was looking at him like he hung the moon. For a long moment, I couldn't move. It wasn't what I saw that broke me, it was what I felt. That connection between them, raw, unspoken, undeniable. When she noticed me in the doorway, the color drained from her face. Ethan. I didn't yell, didn't throw the bottle, didn't hit him. I just said quietly, how long? She started crying. Please, it's not what you think. Liam stood up, guilt written all over his face. Ethan, I swear we didn't. But I wasn't listening. Because deep down, I already knew. That night, after Liam left, I sat with Isabella in silence. The sound of rain tapping the windows filled the space between us. Finally, she spoke. I didn't plan it, she whispered. I felt seen again. You've been so busy, Ethan. Always working, always chasing something. So you found what you needed in him? I asked bitterly. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I didn't mean for it to happen. I love you, but with Liam, it's different. Different? I said. He's my brother. She flinched. I know. That's what makes it worse. I got up, walked to the window, and stared at the city lights. People were out there living, laughing, moving on, while my world was collapsing quietly inside a beautiful apartment. Finally, I said, pack your things. She looked up, startled. Ethan, please. I said pack your things, Isabella. There was no anger in my voice, just exhaustion. Because the kind of pain she gave me wasn't sharp, it was heavy. It didn't scream, it suffocated. She left the next morning. No grand goodbye. No closure. Just silence. Liam tried to call me for weeks. I didn't answer. When he showed up at my office, I told security not to let him in. I didn't hate him, not yet. I was just numb. Work became my escape. I buried myself in projects, meetings, deadlines, anything to keep my mind off the emptiness at home. Nights were the hardest. The bed felt too big, the apartment too quiet, the memories too loud. 6 months later, a letter arrived. No return address, just my name written in her handwriting. Inside was a single page. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this. You were good to me, too good. But I married you for the wrong reasons. I wanted stability, security, a life that looked perfect from the outside. Liam reminded me of who I used to be, wild, free, reckless. But freedom without loyalty is chaos. And that's what my life has become. He's gone now. He couldn't handle it. I thought love would save me, but I didn't realize love built on guilt can't last. You once told me that happiness is quiet. I didn't understand it then. I do now. Forgive me if you can. Isabella. I read that letter a dozen times. Every word felt like a stitch in a wound I'd been pretending didn't exist. That night, I sat on the balcony, watching the city lights blur into a haze. And for the first time, I cried, not for her, but for the version of myself that believed love was enough. Time has a strange way of healing you. It doesn't erase pain. It teaches you how to live with it. 2 years passed. My company grew, I rebuilt my life, and slowly, I learned to be okay again. Then one evening, I stopped by a small cafe near my office, a quiet corner place where I used to take Isabella for coffee dates. And there she was, sitting alone, hair shorter, eyes tired but softer somehow. For a second, I thought of walking away. But something in me said stay. She looked up and our eyes met. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, she whispered, "You look good, Ethan." "So do you," I said quietly. "Are you okay?" She smiled faintly. "I'm trying. It's been humbling." I nodded. "Liam?" Her smile faded. "He left a year ago. We haven't spoken since." We sat in silence again. Two people who once shared everything, now struggling to share small talk. When I stood to leave, she reached out and said softly, "I'm sorry. Truly." I looked at her and said, "I know. I forgave you a long time ago." She blinked, surprised. "You did?" "Yes," I said, "because holding on hurt more than letting go." Then I walked out, not in anger, not in regret, but in peace. People think betrayal is the end of love. But sometimes, it's just the end of an illusion. I learned that forgiveness isn't about the person who hurt you. It's about setting yourself free from the story you keep replaying. Isabella taught me that love without truth is a beautiful lie. And Liam taught me that even the people closest to you can fall, and that's okay. Life isn't about finding someone who never hurts you. It's about becoming someone who can survive it when they do. Every scar tells a story. And mine? It reminds me that sometimes the person who broke your heart is the one who gave you back your strength.